Larry Rosin's here with us. Larry, tell us a little bit about the research you showed the attendees today.
Right. Well, we did. I was inspired by Fred Jacobs and Roger Linkto's presentation at the NAB radio show in Orlando, where they showed people who were encountering a connected car for the very first time. And they were very confused by it. And I said to myself, that's interesting, but what happens down the road, if you will? What happens after people have owned these cars for a while? And so we went out and found about a half dozen people who've had these connected car systems for a little while and interviewed them about what the experience is like today. So these are all people near us in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and we spend time with them in their cars, videotaping, talking to them, and we showed the videos today.
I want to ask you about some of the things I specifically heard them say on the video about radio.
Sure.
I don't like listening to radio. I don't like messing with the commercials.
Right.
That was a little surprising.
We've seen this for a long time. For the kind of consumer for whom all they want is music, they don't, and there's a minority of people, maybe, I don't know the percentage, let's say 10 to 20% of all consumers, all they want in the audio space is music. They don't want commercials, they don't want DJs, they don't want information, they don't want anything. Radio is not well positioned to compete for them, and so that's probably a case there of that, which is those people now have an escape hatch, whether it's subscribe to Sirius XM or try to bring Pandora. Well, Pandora has commercials. Try to pay money for a streaming service that eliminates any commercials, playing through their iPod, whatever it might be. Those people have ways to go in the car environment that they used to not have. So that's probably what's being reflected in there.
I don't like listening to radio because I don't have to.
Similar, it might have even been the same person, but they all did, all of them. Enjoy the fact that they have so many more options. People like options. People like knowing that there's more things that they can listen to. And even though we know there's a lot of AM and FM radio stations available to people, people still like having yet more options. And so that's probably part of what's being reflected there.
We heard a lot of discussion, and you hear a lot of all of us talk about at conventions about local is the strongest, you need to be local, there's a connection between the community and the local radio station, yet to a person in your study, they mentioned Pandora repeatedly.
Right, but they also mentioned, see, I don't want anyone who watches this to get the idea that it was some unrelentingly negative thing about radio. Virtually everyone mentioned that when there was unique, compelling, often local content that they wanted, that they would go to radio. They mentioned sports, they mentioned traffic, weather, news, information, and to a lesser extent personalities. And this is a small group. I mean, it was reflective only of them. And in their sense, only of people who've gotten these really souped up connected car systems. Yes, and Pandora has been incredibly aggressive about making sure that when you get one of these systems, there's a button there called Pandora, very easy, very rapid to get to and connect to, and a lot of them are doing that. They are taking advantage of all the options that they have. But every single one of them actually mentioned that they do go to radio, and they just talked about what they go to it for. And yes, in these cases, they are going less because they have more options, and when radio is the right thing for them, they go to radio, but when it's not the right thing for them, they go to other things.
I guess my question is, if you take what you did with these folks and you combine it with what you've done over time, do you think we're underestimating Pandora in any way?
I think I don't know that anyone in radio underestimates Pandora so much as hopes to sort of keep it contained or put it in a box. Pandora is a significant competitor. Again, for those people who are totally music driven, so far, as of today, with a little experimentation in comedy, Pandora is a product for people who want music, and lots of music at any given time. Many people have times where that's all they want, just give me some wall-to-wall music that is targeted to me, etc. And as of today, well, Pandora, most people take the commercial service. It has a lot fewer commercials than they'll hear typically on an FM radio station. So, well, of course, radio would ignore Pandora at its peril. Pandora is a major big deal, and it has a lot of fans who really like it, as well as a lot of users who just use it, maybe not fully qualify as fans. There is this sort of attempt to say, well, it's not radio, it's not fully competitive. And while I fully maintain that Pandora has widened the pie and expanded listening, some of that listening comes from radio. There's no two ways about it. It can't be denied. And so it's part now of the competitive mix that we all face.
Now, people can go to your website and watch the videos.
Right.
So what do you want them to take away from what you've done there?
Well, I think this whole conference has been really awesome because it shows people what a big deal this change is. I mean, if you look at any data, it shows that radio has its biggest advantage as a medium in the car as compared to any other location. Obviously, in the home, it trails terribly behind, say, television or something like that. And it's still the number one in at work, as I showed in another study recently, but it's the car where it's just uber dominant. And that is likely to begin to see change as people acquire these systems, similar to the changes we've seen in other environments. And so that's why this conference has been so valuable, at least to put it on the radar screen that says we need compelling content that people will choose even when they have so many more options than they have today.
And so the website address for people to watch the videos and maybe didn't come?
www.edisonresearch.com. One word slammed together. Edison, like Thomas Edison. At www.edisonresearch.com.